So hello ladies and gents, welcome back to the channel, and as you can see we've got a fair little bit of snow. However, not to start off with a negative, I did think there was going to be a lot more, and it's forecast to actually be snowing. This is just kind of a dumping of snow that we got overnight, but either way I've picked out a really nice little loop walk starting here from Ray Castle on the sort of western shores of Windermere, and yeah, probably about 6 or 7 kilometers, something like that, and hopefully we get some snow, but if not, it's just going to be a lovely little photo walk. We've got the OM-5, I've actually got the little rain cover on as well, and yeah, let's see what we can get. So yeah, as a lot of you will know, as soon as I've got the hip pack, I've just got my OM system OM-5, my Panasonic Leica 12-60, and my Olympus wide angle 7-14. And I feel like I always say this, but I think it's pretty unlikely that I'm going to be using my wide angle lens today. I'm just thinking about those kind of mid to long focal ranges, really. Hopefully trying to isolate some trees or just any scenes that catch my eye. I do think though, if conditions stay as they are, it's kind of messy, it's chaotic, it's that kind of bitty snow that we've just got lying around everywhere. It is going to be quite tricky, but we'll enjoy it, and even if we don't photograph anything, this is going to be a lovely little loop walk. So I like this little hut here. I suppose it's part of that large property back there, which is lovely, but I'm definitely going to get the OM-5 out here, out of the hip pack, and take a photograph. Just because, like I always say, and I've been repeating a lot recently, I just love getting a photograph in the can on the memory card to start out with, and it just gets the juices flowing and takes the pressure off a little bit as well. You know, I've got that first photograph out of the way, so let's see what we can do here. I quite like it from this angle. It's not great. This is kind of like the best of many bad ideas. But yeah, just zooming in slightly, obviously focus on the cabin there. A nice little bit of that kind of mossy stone wall down in the foreground. There we go. Yeah, it's not great, but I'm going to repeat myself again. I don't know, it's just nice to get one in the can. I don't have to worry now about that pressure of, oh, I must get the first photograph out of the way, because I've done it. Oh, so it is raining kind of fairly heavily now. I mean, I'm all waterproofed up, which is good, but it's annoying because I've deliberately chosen a bit of a lower altitude, and just like I said before, just beside Windermere, a lower altitude walk route, just in case the snow got really bad. I didn't fancy going up high, but yeah, it's just, like I said, I had the snow from overnight, and it's just frigging raining. Oh, regardless of the rain and the general miserable weather, really, look at this. This is absolutely beautiful. So we are going down that path actually, but I've stopped, got the OM-5 out again. Now I was going to get a shot looking that way because I was convinced I wanted to get that peaking up there, but it was kind of weird because look, the road's taking us that way, so naturally I want to photograph in that direction, and it works quite well because of these couple of trees up here on the edge. We've got some hills right off in the background there, so let's have a go at that. I just really like the little signposts there. There we go. Oh, yeah, that I actually really like that, with the 2 tracks leading out and the kind of gate and finger posts there in the middle, and then the 2 trees off in the background. Whether or not it came out all right remains to be seen, but yeah, worth a little stop, that scene. So we're just starting to get a little bit of a view of what is Blelham Tarn down there, and in fact the loop that we're doing here is we kind of go round the tarn and we'll come around this other side. I mean, look at that view there. That brings me on to something I was just thinking about then with regards to us photographers. I just find it, maybe this is just me, but I find it really funny, really interesting how we kind of base so much of our outings on the weather conditions. Today again, it's an age-old thing. I've spoken about this loads on my YouTube channel, where your expectations are up here and the reality is destined to be down here because of that. But I don't know, I always feel like that's a bit of a shame, because I mean, look at this. Unfortunately, every time I come out, I manage to, not every time, most of the time I come out, I manage to kind of break through that mindset, that expectation of, you know, of what I thought the weather conditions were going to be, what sort of photographs I was expecting to get, you know, and then I can find myself in a good place where I start being grateful for what I've got. But yeah, I don't know, there's something in that. I just think, for me at least, it's just a little bit of a shame sometimes where, you know, you might be in such a torrid mindset with regards to what you were expecting, that you look at something like that and you almost end up feeling a bit disappointed. But I mean, look at it. It's so silly, because you're thinking, oh, it was meant to snow today, or why am I not getting any light and stuff? But I really think that it's important to try and really bring yourself back down to, oh, I'm just out on a walk with my camera. This is brilliant. But yeah, I don't know, I know, like I just said, I talk about this all the frigging time. Landscape photographers talk about this all the time, but I think it's because it's such a like tangible and prevalent sort of situation or feeling that we get when we're out, when it's like, oh, I'm going out today, it's going to snow loads, I can't wait, and then you get out and it's just frigging raining. And then, you know, if you let it, it can get you down a little bit. But yeah, I guess you've got to try and bring yourself back to, I mean, look at it, it's stunning. And I'm feeling good about this. This is lovely. It's also a really good opportunity for me to have the first proper walk, I suppose, or the first proper photography walk with my new Ultra Olympus 6 hiking boots. They're really, really comfortable so far. It is rubbing just a little bit on this top section here, but I'm, at the minute anyway, just going to put that down to, you know, the new boots. You've got to wear them in a little bit. But yeah, really nice and lightweight, nice and comfortable. I feel like I'm getting decent ankle protection. Grip's really good, and delighted, especially on a day like today, that they are waterproof. So I had a comment on, I think it was last week's video. I'll put the comment up on here, and I can't remember the person that wrote it, but cheers for the comment. And I think it was probably a fair point to an extent, but I think this person said they're not convinced that I enjoy these sorts of photo shoots. And I don't know, it just got me thinking a little bit, like, I mean, I do first and foremost, I thoroughly enjoy these sorts of photo shoots, but I think with me, and for those of you that kind of watch my channel and see where I am most of the time, up in the fells, up in the mountains, in epic landscapes, I think it's just a complete different type of experience. And you know, this sort of walk, I don't think it lends itself very well to being extremely animated and being blown away by epic vistas and, you know, incredible photographs to be had, you know, a lot more of the time that you're actually out with your camera compared to this sort of walk. But I just don't think that's a good thing or a bad thing. I don't think it needs to be analysed, you know. For me at least, it's just, like I said, a completely different type of experience. I was just looking at this little scene here. This beautiful big tree, the dry stone wall, sort of distant fields in the background. We even got some kind of coniferous trees even further back. I feel like this could be the sort of scene that you could perhaps make something out of, but the conditions just aren't right. And I think on days like today, it could be, you know, really good practice to just look at little scenes like that and think, you know, what is it that you want? What is missing? I think this could do with some really nice side light. I'm going to say the same thing that I want in every image. So maybe kind of like low lingering mist, you know, first thing in the morning on the fields in the background. And this would just be completely and utterly transformed. But with the way the snow is at the minute, what did I say before, a little bit bitty. It's kind of very, very messy and chaotic. Absolute texture overload, isn't it? See, look, even there, I'm looking, kind of, you know, the path leads through these two kind of trees here, or sets of trees. Branches are leaning into each other. You've got a nice beck meandering through, but oh man, it's just so messy. But in the right conditions, I feel like you could kind of make something of that. It's a really nice balance. So I know in a way it sort of shouldn't really matter, this question that I'm going to ask you, because, you know, I'm finding this fun, I'm enjoying it, but I always worry that so much of my content is me, like I was talking about before, out in epic places, and then when I come and do something like this, a little bit quieter, a little bit calmer. Photographs are generally not great, are they? Let's be honest. But it's a lot of fun. Little Robin there, having a little dance. I just worry that you like find it so boring. Well, I guess you're still watching, aren't you? But I don't know. Let us know down in the comments. By the way, a little fact for you about robins. I often wondered, why are they so kind of tame? Why do they kind of fly around you near your feet and everything like that? And the information that I found was that apparently, you know, through centuries, well, thousands of years, they would have followed mammals around the place. So there would have been like wild boar snuffling up the earth, and the robin would have got comfortable just staying near the wild boar. The wild boar would, you know, mess about with the ground, snuffling around, trying to find food or whatever. And then once the boar left, the robin would go down to where the wild boar was snuffling around and see if there's any food left over. So as far as the robin is concerned, we are just any other mammal, you know. We are wild boars, and we are kind of disturbing the earth beneath our feet and maybe bringing up a little bit of food. But when I read that, I thought, oh, that's brilliant. Whether or not it's true, I don't know, but it's a cool little story either way. So that's probably another nice little scene, isn't it, with this gate opening here. I don't know if to capture it with the gate like that. Let's have a look. No, I prefer just this kind of old piece of stone here. I guess this was, you know, for an older gate that used to be here. But I don't know, really, really nice. Bit of dry stone wall. And then we've got that nice little frozen puddle down there. Obviously all the snow, and then Blelum Tarn down there again. And I'm just trying to use the tree up there on the top left, this one, to kind of anchor that left-hand side of the frame. There we go. Aperture priority, f5.6, 1/160th of a second. And ISO is just on 200. It's not bad, it's a little bit left-hand heavy, but just, I suppose, a really nice little wintry lakeland scene, isn't it? So if the conditions aren't great and there's no light, like we've obviously not got today, I always try to look for really strong subjects. So quite excited by the prospect of this lovely little barn here. See all the sheep munching away on the hay, and then we've actually gained a little bit of height as well. So it might be nothing, but at this stage I'm just showing you, this is what I look out for, you know, something that is a very obvious strong subject that could actually help me make a really strong composition. No, stay eating the hay, don't worry about me, I'm going over this way, don't ruin my photograph. So there, that's us up to it now. It's not great, we're too close to the barn. I mean, it's obviously really nice where the sheep are eating all the hay here, but I mean, what are we going to photograph? You know, I want to make a composition, I want to make a photograph. I don't just want to get my camera out and photograph the sheep eating the hay. There needs to be a bit of a background, but there's so many messy trees behind them again that for me, even with the hip pack and the camera being so accessible, it's just not worth grabbing an image here, but lovely to look at. So we're not too far now from where we started back at the castle, and I tell you what, in fact I could see kind of like what must be the sort of gatehouse to the castle. It's where I drove the car in actually. Yeah, it's been a really lovely walk. I'm still hoping to see one or two things on the way back because we've got a little bit of the walk left, and I guess now we're into the castle grounds, so it might be a little bit different, but I've just enjoyed it so much for what it is. Like a nice little walk, cameras here if I want to take any shots, and I guess it's inadvertently become the theme of this video, but talking about, you know, these sorts of little walks rather than big epic trips. Another thing that I really like is I like how it breaks it up, you know. I don't always have to feel like, as a landscape photographer, that I have to be in epic, vast locations. In fairness, probably talking a little bit of nonsense, because even this location to a lot of people is absolutely stunning. You know, at the end of the day, I'm in the Lake District National Park. It's beautiful. It's probably more based on the conditions, isn't it? But oh, just a lovely little walk out and about with the camera. Look at this gatehouse here, it's beautiful. Look at that. It's well nice, isn't it? And then footpath to the castle down that way, but I think if we go down here, we can kind of loop all the way back into the castle. And like I said a second ago, this is the castle grounds, so it might be a little bit different. In fact, if you look here, I've just noticed this is actually a church rather than the castle. I suppose that kind of bit on the right hand side just made me think it was the castle, but I'm actually going to go round there and see if I can photograph it. Yeah, I think it's just because I saw footpath to castle this way. Obviously it will lead back round to the castle eventually. I don't know anything about this castle. In fact, I'll tell you what, I'll get my phone out now for your convenience, have a quick research, and then I'll tell you all about it. So where we go as we get towards the lovely church here. That's beautiful, isn't it? Ray Castle, located in the Lake District of England, which is, I knew that, that's about all I knew, is a Gothic revival structure built in 1840 by Sir Walter Levers, which is really interesting because over near Coniston Old Man, you've got Levers Water, which I can only assume has got something to do with this fella. Originally intended as a family home, what a gaff. It has a varied history, including use as a hospital during the First World War and later as a youth hostel. The castle's design was influenced by medieval architecture. Wow, you can really tell that, can't you? That's interesting because if you go around any, well, those are medieval towns in England, but I, for some reason, always think about France when I think about medieval towns and villages. But yeah, you can really see that. It stands as a picturesque landmark surrounded by scenic views of Lake Windermere. Despite being a relatively recent building, it has a fascinating history and it is now managed by National Trust. So a little bit of a lesson for you there. And I'm going to quickly see if I can figure out how to photograph this little beast. As always with any sort of obvious structure like this, I like to just do a little bit of a circular of it to get, you know, pretty much every single kind of vantage point that I can get from it on my feet. See what catches my eye. It's a nice gate, isn't it? Yeah, it was all right. It was quite nice. I did a little loop of it, as you've seen, but I don't know. I think it was, I just couldn't really get the right perspective on it, and I don't know, it felt a little bit weird because it's a church. I don't know why. I just felt a bit odd, like taking photographs around the gravestones and stuff. But really, really beautiful, nice architecture. And I've just had a little look on the map. We are going to go along the fringes of Windermere, the lake, just a little bit before we get back to the van, so we'll see what that's got for us. Oh, so I've come around this corner here and the wind coming from this direction is pretty strong, so I am sort of looking forward to getting back to the van now. But I love this tree, I love it, I think it's beautiful, and I think, yeah, I'm just going to pop the OM-5 into a little square crop. Oh, I'm happy with that, that's lovely. Again, going back to if we're comparing things to being out in the fells and stuff all of the time, not great, but are you really going to go through all of the photographs that you take, constantly comparing them to, you know, not only your own photographs but other people? There is just no fun in that. I think it's probably quite obvious that I'm constantly always trying to convince myself of that fact, you know, and I feel like this is something I've always kind of thought about as a photographer, is that kind of whole, of course I always want to be in mountains and what what gets me going, you know, beautiful, dramatic coastlines and yeah, being up in the mountains. But I just can't, I can't be in them all the time. It's not feasible, even as somebody that's able to do this full time. So yeah, I feel like sometimes I'm always trying to convince myself that it's all right to go on these little walks. And over the past probably 2 or 3 years, I think honestly, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, I'd have just hated this sort of photo walk. It'd have done nothing for me. Whereas now, yeah, I've started to learn so much more that it's great. It's wonderful. It's a completely different experience, but yeah, I'm getting better at it. I'm getting better at it. You can probably tell I'm not fully confident with them, but there you go. Anyway, a big thank you to all my Ko-fi members. Thank you so much for tuning into this video. As always, please do comment down below. I'll read them all. I love to hear from all of yous. And yeah, I shall see yous on the next adventure, which could be anywhere. Out.